So picture this, November 8th, 2024, out on the waters near Jeju Island in South Korea. The Gyeomsung-ho, a 129-ton fishing boat, heads out for what's supposed to be just another day at the office, right? A routine trip. Except it never came back. And the story of this one boat, well, it pulls the curtain back on a system that's just been pushed way, way too far.
And right away, the first clue we get that something was really, really different about this sinking comes from one of the survivors. He said, and I quote, "We caught the amount that would have been caught in 3 to 5 times all at once." I mean, wow, that one sentence, it's the core of the whole mystery. It catch so big, so unbelievable, that it might have actually been fatal. So what on earth happened out there?
And here's the thing, it all happened so incredibly fast. The first distress call goes out at 4:31 in the morning. The Coast Guard scrambles, and their first ship is on the scene just 18 minutes later. 18 minutes! But by the time they got there, it was already over. The Gyeomsung Artwo was just gone, sunk, vanished beneath the waves.
And the human toll, it's just heartbreaking. You have 27 people on that boat, a crew of South Korean and Indonesian fishermen. And out of those 27, only 13 made it out of alive. 2 were found deceased, and 12 are still missing. It's a devastating reminder that these aren't just numbers. These are people, lives at the very heart of this disaster.
Okay, so the big question, the one everyone is asking, is how? How does a 129-ton ship just sink that fast? Well, investigators immediately zeroed in on that one incredible piece of testimony we heard earlier, that absolutely massive, once-in-a-lifetime catch. Now, to really get what went wrong, you gotta understand how this type of fishing actually works. It's called purse seine fishing, and it's not a one-ship job. Think of the Gyeomsung-ho as the main player, the mothership. It drops this huge net. Then you've got these smaller light boats that basically act like sheepdogs, using their lights to herd schools of fish right into that net. Once they're in, the Gyeomsung-ho pulls the net tight, and then other boats, transport vessels, pull up alongside to take the fish. It's like this whole coordinated ballet out on the water. And this is the critical moment. The crew had already caught so many fish, they'd filled up an entire transport vessel. They were that successful. But it was when the second transport boat was pulling up, that's when everything went wrong. With the unbelievable weight of all those fish still in the net, hanging right off the side of the ship, the Gyeomsung-ho just lost its balance. It started to tilt, then it listed hard, and then it capsized. That full load turned into a fatal load. But, a tragedy like this, it's almost never about just one thing, one freak accident. The sinking of the Gyeomsung-ho really just yanks the curtain back on a much, much bigger problem, a full-blown safety crisis that's been brewing in the South Korean fishing industry for a long time. And look, the numbers here really don't lie. This wasn't some isolated incident. In 2023, you had 78 people dead or missing in fishing accidents. The very next year, that number skyrockets to 119. This isn't a blip on the radar, it's a trend, and it's going in a really dangerous direction.
So why? Why is this happening? Well, when you dig into it, you find this whole mess of deep-seated problems. We're talking widespread issues with the stability of the boats themselves, not enough or even missing safety gear, not enough training for the crews, and just a real lack of strong safety rules and enforcement. And here's a gut punch of an example. Survivors reported that the crew of the Gyeomsung-ho, they weren't even wearing life jackets right before the ship went down.
Okay, so when a disaster like this strikes, what caused it is one half of the story. The other half is the response. And in South Korea, when we talk about responding to a maritime incident, there's this huge shadow that hangs over everything, the ghost of one single catastrophic event from the past.
And that event, of course, is the Sewol ferry disaster back in 2014. Over 300 people died, most of them high school students. It left this profound scar on the entire country. But it also put the Korea Coast Guard, the KCG, under an intense microscope. And what came out was a picture of an organization whose own culture made rescue operations incredibly difficult. So to really get what was going on inside the KCG, we have to talk about this idea called bureaucratic accountability. It sounds kind of academic, but it's actually pretty simple. It just means, who does an organization think it answers to? Who are they trying to please? Is it their bosses, the public, the law? Getting this is the key to understanding why they did what they did, or in some cases, what they didn't do. So researchers who looked at the KCG after Sewol basically broke this down into 4 competing pressures. You've got hierarchical, which is all about just follow orders from your superiors. There's legal, which is stick to the letter of the law. Then there's political, which is keep the politicians and other big stakeholders happy. And finally, professional, which is all about trusting the experts on the ground to make the right call. The best organizations, they find a way to balance all four of these.
But the thing is, the analysis found the KCG was dangerously out of whack. It was obsessed with hierarchy, just following the chain of command, no questions asked, and with politics, doing high-profile stuff like chasing illegal fishing boats because that looked good and helped secure their budget. And the result of all that? The professional part, the actual skill and expertise for rescuing people, that was seriously neglected. Just look at this number from 2013, the year before Sewol. Only 1.6% of their entire budget went to search and rescue. 1.6%.
All right, let's pull the lens back one last time, to the biggest picture of all, because the crew of the Gyeongseong-ho wasn't just up against the weight of their own catch. They weren't just dealing with an unsafe industry or a rescue service with a troubled past. They were also fighting the ocean itself. And the ocean, well, it's changing.
For fishermen, climate change isn't some far-off idea, it's their daily reality. The weather is way more unpredictable now. The winds are stronger, the waves are bigger. On top of that, the seas are getting warmer, which means the fish are moving. They're not where they used to be. That forces these boats to go to new places, to change their patterns, and sometimes to take much bigger risks. And if you want a hard number on that, here it is. Just in the space of a single year, between 2023 and 2024, there was a 7.7% increase in strong wind events. The ocean is literally getting rougher. And that means the margin for error out there, it's getting smaller and smaller.
And guess what kind of fleet is facing these tougher seas? An old one. The majority of fishing boats in South Korea are more than 10 years old. So you've got these aging vessels getting hammered by worse and worse weather. It's a recipe for disaster, making them so much more vulnerable to just breaking apart.
So, when you step back and connect all these dots, what do you see? The sinking of the Gyeongseong-ho, it stops looking like a single tragic accident. It starts to look like the final, terrible result of a bunch of different failures all crashing into each other at the exact same time. Think about it. You've got the trigger, right? That unbelievable catch that threw the boat off balance. But that was only the trigger. The real problem was the context, an entire industry with a weak safety culture. On top of that, you have the rescue agency, whose history left it unprepared. And all of this is happening in a new reality, where an old fleet of ships is getting battered by a more violent climate. It's a perfect storm.
So, once you see all the pieces laid out like that, it's hard to call this just an accident anymore, isn't it? It starts to feel more like an outcome. A tragic but completely predictable outcome from a system that was just cracking under the pressure from every direction.
And that leaves us with one last, really tough question. We know all these things are connected now. The old boats, the wilder seas, the safety culture, the rescue agencies. So knowing all that, what's it actually going to take to make sure this doesn't happen again? What will it take to finally break this tragic cycle?